What's going on, everybody? This is Brian Mazique, aka Unique Mazique, and I am happy to bring you the first ever episode. Well, it's technically not the first episode, but it's the first episode in this format. The first one of Mazique Speaks. And what I'll be bringing you every Friday is pretty much the week in sports video gaming, not just abroad, but my own personal week. As well as I'll be doing some interviews with some people who are prominent in the sports video game universe currently. I'm excited about this. I hope you're excited about it. For whatever reason, if you don't have time to ever watch this video or this entire show from front to back, throughout the week, I'll be putting each one of these segments out as a separate video, so you always get an opportunity to check it out that way. So without further ado, let's get into the first order of business. First up on the list, we got to talk NBA 2K18. If we're talking NBA 2K18 right now, you got to be talking about the NBA 2K League Combine. Now, the news it's been coming hot and heavy pretty much all week for the last 2 weeks. But let me kind of start at the beginning of the week. 2K released their 10th patch for the game. The 9th patch actually put the Combine on everyone's PS4 and Xbox One. The 10th patch optimized the Combine to kind of take care of some of the issues that came up because there was some technical difficulties at first. I reached out to 2K to try to find out what exactly was optimized. I did not get an answer. Hopefully, we got some sort of remedy for the problem that kept arising where there were people who weren't having their games counted. That's an absolute no-no for sure. And then secondly, there was some matchmaking issues internationally. Now, from what I can tell, this patch came out, when did it come out? It came out back on like February 6th or 7th. As of the date that I recorded this, it seemed like people might have still been having some issues connecting or matchmaking outside of the United States. So I'm not sure if it optimized that or not, but I didn't hear as much from people saying that games weren't counting. So that at least should have been addressed. So all right, let's move on to the next thing, which is I wrote out so as of Wednesday, this past Wednesday, we've only seen 4 playing windows for the Combine. So after those first 3 days, I kind of took down some takeaways. Like, what am I feeling from the community, from the Combine overall? The first thing that comes to mind is that this build is balanced. So just simply taking away the Hall of Fame badges, especially the ones for Limitless Range and for Ankle Breaker, made a huge difference with this Combine. I mean, with the overall gameplay. I think the game is playing, if you just from watching it, it seems like the game is playing much better, much more realistic than it ever did. Their point was to level the playing field, and I think that that's what we're seeing. We're seeing specific archetypes matter more than just, people kind of exploiting some of those badges and some of those other archetypes, because you only get an opportunity to have a choice of 5 archetypes per position. So that's the first thing. The second thing, we get a lot of people complaining. Now, some of the complaints are warranted, like for some of the things like the matchmaking issue. That's obviously an issue. And then also with if your games aren't counting. If your games aren't counting and you're asking for, 2K and the 2K League is asking for 40 games played over the course of this time period, you got people who are trying to balance schedules. That's an issue. Absolutely an issue. So those complaints are warranted. But you got other people complaining about some other stuff that's kind of like, people complaining about the teammates that they're getting, where everybody's getting a roll of the dice when it comes to the teammates. There's 72,000 people who qualify for the Combine, so which means you don't know who you're going to be playing with. Somewhat a true test of skill is how you deal with that adversity. And another true test of skill is, can you adapt to whoever you're playing with? So I think that's a big deal. I think that some game managers may very well be monitoring the way people are handling this adversity. And while it's not up to the game managers to determine who ends up in the player pool, you better believe that if some of those managers had an opportunity and they saw some people doing a whole bunch of complaining, that may make them not want to go with that person once it comes time to do the draft. So that's something to keep in mind. One other thing is no mic. Man, you can't be attempting to do something at this level which is what the NBA 2K League is a pretty big deal. I mean, these teams are owned by the actual owners from the NBA. If you're playing NBA 2K18, attempting to play it professionally, and you're doing it without a microphone, you're not stepping your game up to the level that you need to step it up to. Now, I know there's different situations financially. Some people, may not be able to get a mic right now. There are far more things that are more important for them financially, and I understand that. But if you seriously want to do this, you gotta find a way to get a mic. I mean, even if it's just as simple as taking like some headphones that have the little microphone on the cord that you get with a cell phone and just plugging that into the RCA jack or whatever it is on your controller. Even if it's that simple, you got to do something so you can communicate with your team, because communication is one of the biggest things that the game managers are looking for. Another thing that I've noticed is the centers with inflated statistics. You got a lot of bigs just hogging the middle, trying to pad stats with easy rebound putbacks and a bunch of rebounds and so on and so forth. I had one guy send me, his name is J Money Rep, sent me a screenshot. He had 71 points in the game. Now, I'm not hating on J Money at all. 71 points is a heck of a game. But there were a lot of people putting up some fairly empty box scores. And it's forcing everyone to pretty much grade the center position on a curve. So I'm not saying the stats don't matter, but I'm saying you got to make sure that you're playing in a way that is going to fly once that 2K League begins. And I'm not sure if clogging the middle is the right way. Like I said, the international players are having a matchmaking issue. That is one of the major takeaways for me too from the early days of the Combine. I don't see that it's been remedied as of yet, but hopefully as the remaining portions of this playing window, these playing windows continue to go past and we see this process take its course, hopefully we don't see anything where we have international hopefuls who are unable to get their 40 games in simply because they couldn't find enough matches. If that is the case, I'm hoping that 2K will have some sort of concession for them where they extend the window, or maybe say, hey, you know what, if you got 20 games played, if you got 25 games played, we'll evaluate you on that. So hopefully in the interest of fairness, we'll see something like that go on, right? Now, my last piece on the 2K Combine for right now, before we go to our interview, because we got an interview with my man Pham. He's an NBA 2K hopeful. That's coming up a little bit later after we go through the news of the sports video game world for this week. But my last bit for this particular section is I did a stock up, stock down report after watching the 4th playing window take course. Now, obviously, I didn't get an opportunity to see everybody play. There's, like I said, there's 72,000 of you guys, so I can't watch everybody. But who I did get to watch, I came away very impressed with I Got the Juice. Now, my first brush with I Got the Juice came at a Chicago Mountain Dew NBA 2K tournament, playing head-to-head, right? I'm talking about play now online style, right? And the dude had game, right? But it's some of those types of tournaments, if there's no like fantasy draft or something, you pretty much get everybody running to the Warriors or the Cavs, especially at that time. And that's kind of what it was. It ended up being like a battle of the Warriors type of a thing. So, but the guy won the tournament. So I was kind of watching for him, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't know how well his game is going to translate to Pro-Am. Well, it turns out it translates just fine. I was watching a stream where he was playing against the White Kite 23, who is a really good point guard in his own right. But I got to tell you, I Got the Juice got the better of the White Kite. I didn't see his statistics because it was the White Kite stream, and you can't see the stats in the Combine for the opposing team or the teammates. But I Got the Juice, man. He had outstanding dribble moves, made great decisions with the ball, did not force plays at all, played very good defense. I was really impressed with him. Then he sent me a screenshot. I'll show you guys this right now. As you can see, look at what he had in 20 games played. 16 wins, 4 losses, 24.5 points a game, 14 assists per game, a rebound. The field goal percentage is decent. Look at that. 3-point percentage is solid. I'm telling you, the kid can play. And I think based off of what I've seen in several different environments, I Got the Juice has the goods to be a 2K leaguer, in my opinion. Now, another person I came away impressed with was the White Kite 23 in that same game that I was scouting. Even though I would give I Got the Juice the edge, I was impressed with the White Kite's overall hoops IQ. He did get a little bit caught up in some back and forth argument with some teammate that he had on his team whose IQ was not on his level, which he's got to watch that. But overall, the White Kite 23 impressed me. I had previously scouted him, and I was a little bit questionable. I was a little bit skeptical about his on-ball defense, and apparently he took that to heart. He actually even sent me a message, told me he had taken that to heart, that feedback. And his on-ball defense was much better against I Got the Juice. They both made each other work, and I thought they both wound up shining in this particular showcase. Another person I got a chance to watch and I came away impressed with is Petty Andretti. Now, I've played with Petty Andretti, and the biggest thing about him is chemistry matters, right? And this guy's demeanor and this guy's professionalism and maturity would be an asset to a team. Now, he's still trying to figure out which archetype works better for him. He's a center, so he goes between the stretch big and a rim protector. Personally, I think he's better suited as a rim protector because that's the type of instincts he has overall. He likes to play defense, but when he picks that stretch big archetype, it doesn't give him the attributes to play the way he wants to play. My advice to him and to anyone else who is in a similar dilemma is play with the archetype that best fits the style that you're most comfortable with. You'll get your best statistics. Another person that I watched that I came away impressed with was Remy Is My Son. Now, I was torn, though. I gotta admit, I was torn. Because he was cherry picking like I'm telling you, like cherries were in season. Kept breaking down the court. I mean, and sometimes he was leaking too early. Sometimes it's simply the shot would go up. He wouldn't wait to see if the rebound was secured by his team. He's already breaking out. Now, on one hand, he was playing small forward, but his power forward and his center were rebounding very well. They were somewhat limiting teams to one shot. So most of the time when he leaked, he didn't hurt his team. The other thing was, for the entire first half, the team that they were playing were not accounting for him, so he was getting free runs. Even once they started accounting for him, Remy Is My Son was so adept at getting position under the basket that he was still able to make tough catches with two guys back there. And then now what ended up happening was the defense was totally imbalanced, and Remy Is My Son played unselfish with two guys down there in the paint on him. He'd immediately kick it out to a shooter, get out of the lane so he wouldn't get the so he wouldn't get the 3-second violation, and they started running their offense from under the basket out. It was really odd, but it was effective. Now, that particular style may not fly in the 2K League, but what I did like is that he has the type of ingenuity and instincts that can find a hole in a defense. And there's something to be said about that. So I had to mention him. Another one that I liked is Liam Michael. I didn't get a chance to see him as much as I like. He wasn't the host of the stream, but attacking downhill, working off of his pivot, spin moves, he finished a number of tough layups. I want to see more, but from what I saw, I was intrigued with his scoring instincts and his stick skills. Another guy, now, it's Nash Moex Trio, I believe is what his name is. He sent in, and I'm showing you some of the highlights on the screen right now. He sent in a highlight reel over Twitter. And generally, I don't get too excited over a highlight reel, right? Because it's just that. It's a highlight reel. They're only going to show you the best parts of the game. But from what I saw in this highlight reel, I saw vision, I saw stick skills, I saw instincts, I saw willingness to pass and move the ball to hit cutters. I saw a lot in a short highlight reel, so I can't wait to watch Moex Trill play live on a stream of some sort. I can't say for sure that he's got the goods because I haven't seen each play, but that highlight reel was definitely intriguing and I want to see him again. Now it's time for the stock down, guys, right? RNS Real Deal. I mean, this guy came into the stream, he was insulting his teammates. He's boasting about his My Park resume, like this is Pro-Am or this is Combine NBA 2K League, bro. whatever you did in the on my park is almost irrelevant, right? It's almost irrelevant. He's playing center. He's consistently bickering with his point guard, telling him he's not getting the ball. He's trying to clog the middle. He got so many 3-second violations. It was absolutely insane, right? He just would not stop clogging the middle. And it was just, I felt for his teammates because they literally were just saddled with luggage and just baggage. It was bad, right? Another guy who I didn't come away impressed with was Little Beardy 05. His dribbling was nice, but he fell in love with the dribble way too much. He was moving the ball just not moving the ball at all the right way, holding it too long. He was actually holding it so long in some situations that he was giving up his own shots. So he had open looks, but he wouldn't take them because he's over dribbling. So he did kind of get out of it in the second half, and his team started to come back and play a little bit better. But his recognition took a little bit too long. So I wonder how many other games he's done that with. So I would say stock down for him. Last but not least, this one was a tough one for me. Agho Anina. He was playing the 4, right? He had a quadruple double. So you're probably saying, well, how in the world did he end up in stock down? Well, he stat hunted so clearly in this game. I mean, once he started to realize he had a chance to get the quadruple double, I mean, he started pushing his teammates like, dude, I almost got a quadruple double. And the bad part about that was the game was very close, right? And he did not understand that this was not a good look. He even sent this around saying, hey, look, I got a quadruple double. And at the end of the video, he's like, if I don't get drafted after this, I'm going to be heated, bro. Well, I'm like, I'm not a general manager, man, but your approach was way too me first. And yeah, you can't be going for quadruple doubles in the middle of an NBA 2K League game, especially one that's close. So I don't know. I think he might need to adjust his approach just a little bit. Now let's move away a little bit for right now, like I said, from the NBA 2K League combat and just talk about some regular 2K18 news. The latest upgrade that we saw added the All-Star uniforms, the rosters, and the arena. They are even hitting up some of these injuries. Unfortunately, it has happened to Kristaps Porzingis and other people, so they're going to change those things up too. If you play my league and you do the or my GM and you get to the All-Star game, you will have the All-Star arena and the jerseys. Unfortunately, it won't acknowledge the Team Steph, Team LeBron setup. It will be the Eastern and Western Conference. It'll be the same way in my career as well. But at least you do get the jerseys and the arenas. Last but not least on this section of the 2K18 news is, man, the trade deadline was yesterday, and the Cleveland Cavaliers made a plethora of deals. I mean, they got Jordan Clarkson, they got Larry Nance Jr., they got, who else did they get? George Hill. They got, I mean, they got a bunch of guys, right? And I'm sorry, let me not forget Rodney Hood. So 4 significant additions to their team. They traded away Derrick Rose, Jay Crowder, Dwayne Wade for a second-round pick. They also traded away Channing Frye and Iman Shumpert. Changed their team in a in a crazy way. I personally believe that the Cavs got better. They added youth, they added hunger, and the team just needed a fresh new look. So I think they got better. According to 2K, though, their ratings might have gone down as a team, and they don't have much of a shot blocker right now on 2K18. Ante Zizic is the best shot blocker on the team. So we'll see whether or not the Cavs pick up a rim protector. Maybe a big man gets bought out once the buyouts start to happen. Tyson Chandler is a possibility. Maybe in somebody like Andrew Bogut, who they tried to sign before. He like broke his leg in the first game that they had him in there. So we'll see what happens. I would say that's the only thing that they may be missing at this point to try to make a serious run now in the East. But that trade should be available, or those trades should be available in NBA 2K18 pretty shortly. If not, you can always go in and make them yourself. Let's talk some EA UFC 3. I'm like really loving this game right now. You'll see once we get to my weekend sports game, and you'll see how much I've been loving it. But there was a patch or an update that came out for it, and it addressed it tuned gameplay, changed some fighter ratings and movesets, and even some records to reflect what certain fighters' records have changed based off of recent events. It reduced the recovery frames on punches to the body, which that needed definitely to be nerfed. It reduced the long-term stamina drain on opponents when landing body punches. People were really spamming the body shots, and so that's actually a good thing. It removed side evasion frames from body uppercut and lead body hooks. It speeded up the clinch escape from tie, single collar, and over-under. I mean, man, if you play this game, you know it took a long time to have your meter fill up when you're trying to progress or even escape in either of those grips. And like I said, various movesets, ratings, and record changes were in effect. Valentina Shevchenko was one of the fighters who received a upgrade in her ratings. You might have thought she might have gotten a little bit more significant of an upgrade the way she beat down Priscilla Cachoeira in the now infamous fight that could have been Mario Yamasaki's last fight to referee in the UFC. He let that fight go on way too long. I don't know if he was mad at Priscilla Cachoeira for whatever reason, but that fight went on way too long. But that's a whole nother situation. But yes, Valentina Shevchenko's top game ratings went from a 91 to 92. Jacare Souza, after he knocks out Derek Brunson, his chin rating goes up from 88 to 89. Strike stamina goes up from 88 to 89. I would have thought that high kick or the kick power might have gone up a little bit too, but not so much. Mirsad Bektic knocked out Godofredo Pepe with a straight right hand to the gut. It was nasty. The accuracy rating went up from 86 to 88, and the power rating went from 87 to 89. Rafael Dos Anjos also saw a significant ratings upgrade, but this wasn't because of any recent fights. His, Matt Brown, and Ben Rothwell, those were legacy updates because maybe their initial ratings weren't as accurate as they should have been, and it was probably something that came from community feedback. So, like I said, loving EA UFC 3 right now. It's almost that time for MLB The Show 18. The initial trailer released this week, as well as a developer blog schedule, and I had some takeaways after I watched all of that. Now, the developer blog schedule, let's put that up on the screen first so you can get an opportunity to see that. They're going to go through a lot of the similar things that they've gone through before, the little things, which is some of the small nuances that they've captured for this year's game. There apparently is something coming up with presentation and commentary. Can't wait to hear what that is. Obviously, Road to the Show and franchise mode and some other things will be in there. Now, they've rewritten base running and tag up animations. So they've essentially, what they're trying to do is they're trying to eliminate as many of the video game moments that they can eliminate, because a lot of that has, you know, wound up being like an exploit for certain people. You know, people around the base, even when the fielder has the ball, because they know that there's a small issue where the fielder won't actually tag a man when he rounds the base. Guys are taking extra bases in head-to-head play just when the ball goes like a couple of feet in front of the catcher, because the catcher doesn't react quick enough, especially to cut down a fast runner. So those types of things are apparently going to be removed. There's a new visual swing feedback graphic that shows you not just whether or not you got an early, good, or late contact on a pitch. It shows you at what point the bat actually impacted the ball, which I think is definitely very helpful. Like I said, there's something brewing with the commentary. Full speed replays are now in there as well. Some different presentation elements, like the judges' chambers at Yankee Stadium is there. They're still working to perfect hitting, like I mentioned with the swing feedback graphic, but they've also now been able to match things like the air density in every single stadium to like completely emulate what you see in real baseball. So it's crazy, but it sounds great. New intelligent crowd animations. If you're getting blown out at home, your crowd might leave you. The uniforms have been touched up. New creative player skin textures, so that the faces look more realistic. There are more hairstyles now for the creative players. In Road to the Show, there's going to have several different environments. They showed us a picture, as you can see, what's going on with the trailer on the screen now. You can see that they have a scene where you're in a bus. They're saying that there's more scenes outside of that. You're going to also have some off the field clothing. So sounds like they're inching towards my career from NBA 2K. Hopefully they don't give it too much of a heavy-handed storyline, but they are saying there are going to be more role-playing games or more RPG elements in this particular version. Talked about the branching out of fielding situations, more facial animations between pitchers and hitters, more physical emoting and just physical mannerisms in the field. Like there's a picture of Trey, or there's this clip there in the trailer of Trey Turner signaling 2 outs after he, records a put out on the infield. Ramon Russell mentioned pitching would be more difficult, a little bit harder to locate the baseball when you're pitching. There's some new legends. Chief among them is Babe Ruth, that's a crazy addition. Doc Ellis, Pee Wee Reese, Don Sutton, Benito Santiago, Troy Percival, Lee Smith. Who else did we see? We also saw Vlad Guerrero. That's a big deal right there. He was one of the ones that was recently just unveiled on Thursday. I know it's a long shot, but I really like to see Willie Mays, Ricky Henderson, Barry Bonds, and even Roger Clemens added, but we'll see what's up with that. There's some sort of legend mode that's coming. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but at first it sounded like it might be something like a Legends Road to the Show type of a thing, but now I'm not so sure, so we'll see what happens with that. There's a new element coming to franchise mode called phases. They didn't break down what that is, but perhaps each team is put into a different category or a different phase of their organizational rebuild. I don't know, maybe that's just a guess. There are going to be some changes to Road to the Show for fielding, different camera views to make that part of the game a little bit easier. From a cosmetic standpoint, they've talked about improving minor league ballparks, so the visual look of those. One disappointing thing so far for me, and I don't know this for a fact, but it doesn't appear as though this is the case, but it appears there still won't be a creative ballpark. And I've been asking and wanting that for years, but it does not seem as though that will be in this year's game either. And the reason why I say I don't think it's going to be in, because if a feature that big was actually coming, you would think that they would have already announced that, right? And they haven't. So, or at least as you look through the developer schedule that I showed you a little bit earlier, you would at least say that, oh, okay, there's something there that could be that. But there's nothing on that schedule that looks like it's going to talk about a creative ballpark. So that's disappointing, but it is what it is. So the next date on the schedule is GameStop Monday. So not usually too much comes out on GameStop Mondays. Usually a small trailer of some sort, but they don't show too much. On the 15th, they talk about the little things. There's some start out thing there that they're going to reveal at that point. I don't know what that means. I don't think that's creative ballpark. I don't think that would be the little I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully they knock my socks off and say it's going to be a creative ballpark. You'll see me. I'll make a video of me attempting to do a backflip if that is the case, but I don't think I'll be doing any backflips. So we'll see what happens, but that's the deal on MLB The Show. The Super Bowl just passed, so obviously there's not a ton of Madden 99, or I shouldn't say Madden 99, Madden 18 news. I got 99 on the brain. You know why? Because Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles of the Philadelphia Eagles became the first 99 overall rated player in MUT. 373 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and a touchdown reception, and you take down the mighty Patriots and Tom Brady. Yeah, I guess that does make you worthy of a 99 overall rated MUT card. He's got it. Nick Foles is the man right now. I mean, none of the throwing ratings are below 90. And just so they could try to just show a little bit of what he did when he caught the touchdown pass at the end of the second quarter, he has an 84 in route running, a 76 in catch in traffic, and a 74 spectacular catch. So the Nick Foles card is a cheat code. If you play MUT, you probably want to go grab that card because is something serious. Now, I told you, I've been playing a lot of EA UFC 3. As a matter of fact, it has pretty much dominated my own gameplay over the past week. I've been meaning to get to other games, Fortnite, some other stuff, but I can't put down the controller with EA UFC 3. So I figured I might as well show you what's been grabbing me. Here's a look at my best knockouts from the past week. I've been playing a lot. As I mentioned, I have an interview with NBA 2K18 or NBA 2K League hopeful Sam Pham. You gotta listen to this interview with Sam Pham. I feel like it's enlightening. I feel like it's gonna show you a lot of what this combine has been like, especially for a high-level elite player. So take a look at the video with Sam Pham. Make sure you leave comments. So here we are. We have been talking a lot about NBA 2K, NBA 2K League Combine. And today we have with us one of the 72,000 NBA 2K League hopefuls. His name is Sam Pham. If you've been around NBA 2K, the YouTube scene for any time, you probably have come across a Sam Pham tips and tutorials video. And you've probably noticed what sounds like a very advanced knowledge of NBA 2K. So I'm pleased to talk to him today. How you doing today, Sam?
I'm good. How you doing, Brian?
I am outstanding. Thank you very much for coming on with me, being my first guest on Mazique Speaks.
No,
so hopefully sometime down the stretch, we'll look back on this and this will be like mean a lot to both of us. So let's jump right into the 2K combine. So as of the day of this interview, like when you guys are seeing this, we've probably seen a few more play windows go by. But as of the day of doing this, we've had 3 play windows. If you could describe the 2K League Combine in one word, your experience, what would it be?
Diluted.
Okay. Expound.
Because you have 72,000 people that qualified. And I believe the qualification process was too easy because it's 50 program wins and you get in. So I say diluted because I think the talent pool is diluted. It's just there's great players in there, I assure you, because the top players are in there, or there might be talent in there, but there isn't 72,000 elite 2K players in the world. So the gameplay, I think everybody who has participated will let you know the basketball level it's low. The IQ and the execution from a team standpoint, it's very, very, it's not up to par. It's not elite.
Okay.
So I feel sorry for the scouts who might be scouting it because it's tough.
Yeah. So you're mentioning like I mentioned about you have obviously a very high basketball IQ. And you were mentioning some of the other guys whose ages range from all over the board, and their levels of experience range from all over the board. So you mind sharing with us break down some of your basketball background so people can get an understanding why your tips and tutorials sound and look the way they do. Why, if they listen to the audio of your streams during the league combine, you sound the way that you do.
It's 2 things. I played 2K before I played basketball. People think I'm really young. I look 19 or something. I'm 31.
31, okay.
I'm 31. So I've been around 2K since it came out in Dreamcast.
Okay.
So I played 2K before I played basketball. 2K got me into basketball. So I started picking up basketball really old. I picked up basketball when I was 21.
Okay.
So I've been doing it. So that's already too late for high school, college, any of that is already way too late. So I mostly played in just your rec leagues and stuff like that. Nothing too competitive. But 2K, I've always been competitive. I've been Operation Sports, the leagues, competing on online, offline tournaments, things like that. And can I talk about the money games? I don't know if people like those.
Hey,
I should mention.
It's part of the.
I've been doing that forever. So as 2K improved, I needed better 2K skills, 2K talent. So I watch NBA religiously because as I was growing up, League Pass came on. So I watch maybe 20 hours of basketball a week, NBA basketball.
Wow.
I watch NBA basketball more than I play 2K.
Wow.
Because I watch it to learn how to play 2K.
Got it.
So that's where the IQ and the skill comes from because I am like a film basketball geek.
Okay. Man, and I'm going to tell you, and that's really actually fascinating. It's fascinating on several levels. First of all, it's fascinating because the video game actually got you into the real sport. And, for most fans, it's the other way around. They bought 2K or they bought NBA Live or whatever basketball video game because they already loved basketball. So yours actually goes the other way around. But it's really fascinating that 2K has progressed so much from the time you started to now, to the point where it actually was any assistance in you gaining the level of knowledge that you gained about the actual game of basketball. So I find that fascinating, actually.
Because I needed the real life film to improve my own 2K skills.
Right.
To get it to that level. 2K has been growing incredibly from like a mechanical standpoint and all that. So that's what it got to. Because at the beginning, I was just playing video games.
Right.
And then it got to a point I needed more. Like I needed to win. I need to win all the time. And I was like, where do I go to? So then I went to the NBA and I was like, I applied that into the game and I became even better. So that's what I've been doing ever since. Wow,
that's really something, Sam. Now, let's go back more specifically talking about the combine. If you were to say, like you mentioned, there were some really good players in there, obviously. Who is someone that you've played with in the combine, if you remember anyone whose PSN jumped out at you and you were like, that guy can actually play, or that girl can actually play?
I've played, I think, close to 20 games. So I say 9 teammates a game, enemies included. So that's 9 guys. So right. Close to 200 people I've seen of a possible 72,000.
Okay.
Nobody. Maybe I have really bad luck.
Okay.
Because it's 200 of 72,000. That's a very small number.
Okay.
I have not seen someone I would be considering that they could play in the league. Just maybe it's bad luck for me, but I haven't seen it. My experience, because I'm a point guard too, that's the problem. So every game I've played, the point guard position is taken by me. So I'm seeing one less point guard. And for all the players I've seen, it's very, very casual.
Okay.
Very casual with 2K. So that's what I meant when I originally say I thought the original qualification process was just way too easy.
Okay. What would you suggest maybe for the qualifications process to be changed to make it a little bit more difficult, so that you would see a higher quality of players in the combine?
Glad you asked, because that's all. I've been thinking about that ever since I walked into the combine and I saw what was going on.
Okay.
So first things first, 2 consoles. I think every player on a top 100 team should be automatically invited. So they're in. Those guys are in. So if you're a top 100 pro-am team, I don't know how many guys per team, maybe 8 guys, you're in. And then this is interesting. I was talking to a friend about this. I think every Play Now online player who is on the GOAT level, I think that's the highest level of Play Now, should also be invited. So those guys are in. And then at the end, because I still understand there's other people out there who wants to get in there, that's okay too. I think in the month of January, you will need 100 competitive Pro-Am wins to qualify. Because in its original form, it was 50 Pro-Am wins, and you can do that on walk-on, right? It's only 50. I'm saying at least 100, and that's on comp. So you have to make your own team, and you get on that. So that would be the 3 ways I would try to focus the qualification process better. And I bet you if you do that, the talent that you will see will be up several notches. The competition will be fierce, because Play Now online GOAT guys are hardcore 2K gamers. To get to GOAT is not easy. And then you have the top 100 teams guys who are already all invited. So the last bunch is just players who happen to get 100 comp wins in January. And to go through that process, 100 comp wins in a month, that's about 3 wins a day in comp. That's not easy either. You do that, competition in the combine increases. Because I walked in there thinking it would be fierce. Like people would be like serious and playing for like their livelihoods. And no, it's incredibly casual. It's probably worse than walk-on, because there's no continuity, right? You get one guy, new players, people don't know each other. It's a little bit of a disaster to me right now.
Okay.
I feel.
Well, like one thing we talked about maybe about, I don't know, about 3 or 4 days ago, we talked about your process, your personal process of playing through these different windows. And man, you got to do a lot of traveling, a lot of maneuvering just to get your games in. Can you talk a little bit about some of the travel? I mean, you were talking about flying to this place, flying to that place, and maybe one location you go to may not have good enough internet, so you won't be able to play there. Talk a little bit about that.
So originally I live in North America, so these first 3 days of the window was totally fine for me. I have to make time. I have to miss some of the Super Bowl, miss a few dates, miss dinner. Tell my family I have to hide in here for 6 hours. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So that's the first 3 days, but it gets harder for me because the February window is I'm Asian, so it's Asian New Year's, right?
Right.
So in Asian, I have to go back home. I have to go back to Asia for New Year's. So I have to go back to China. I have to travel Hong Kong, Taiwan, and all of that. So while I'm there, because I need to get 40 games in.
Right.
And currently, the 3 windows that I had this weekend, the most games I was able to get out of was, I think, 20. I got 20 in. So I need 20 more. But I'm going to be in Asia for the next 2 weeks. So every other combine day, except the last one, I will be in Asia. So I'll be in a different region. I got to play in, I guess, Hong Kong and China. And from other people I've seen some of my subscribers from YouTube, they live in Greece. And I was asking him, hey, you're in Greece, so you must be going through the European region. Are you finding games okay? He told me he found 2 games in 2 hours. So I'm really worried about the Asian region.
Okay.
So if I get really unlucky, I might not even get 40 games in because I have to travel around. But I think I'm a very unique case. I mean, players in North America, I think they would be okay.
Yeah.
I will probably be I think people in the European region and the Asia region finding 40 games might be a little bit of a struggle in terms of how they organize the time. So for me, I am sweating to get to 40.
Okay. Do you think that, because I think it's been a fairly well-known issue that matchmaking has been tough outside of North America, do you think that it's possible or realistic that 2K and the 2K League would do something to kind of compensate for that? Because I know you remember on the first playing window, they extended it by 30 minutes or so because people were having some connectivity issues to start. Do you think that that's something that they would do to compensate for the matchmaking problems outside of North America?
I think once they get to maybe halfway through the combine, there's 12 days. Once they get to 6 days, they'll be able to see, are the European and Asian region players who are dedicated in the process, are they going to make it? I mean, if the player is dedicated and he's telling you, I only got 15 games in and I did everything I could to try to get the games in, then they will have to probably extend the window for the European and Asian players. Because there's also a problem right now. The wins aren't counting, games aren't counting. There's things like that too. Because I see the team managers talking about that. So I think halfway through, they would probably need to maybe add a few extra days for the Asian and European players. And I'll let you know when I go back to Asia how that search process is. Because in North America right now, I can get 2 games in per hour.
Okay.
3 if lucky. But obviously 3 is too many because if you start at the end, it still carries over even if you go over the window time, right? Right. But I can get 2 for sure. Okay. So every hour is 2. Yeah. In North America, I think in Europe or Asia, it's way less. Maybe 2 every 1.5 hour or 2 hours.
Okay.
It's risky out there.
Got it. Now,
but can I mention one thing?
Yes.
That's really important to me. As a 2K tutorial guy, I need to, give praise where praise is due. 2K, this combine mode is the most balanced 2K I have seen. The mode itself is extremely balanced. The shooting is balanced. The gameplay is balanced. It's just because the talent pool is diluted, so the level of execution is low. But it's nice for me to see 2K heading in a direction where it is solely based on, it's trying to drive user skill, not pay to win or anything like that. Not about grind time, not about, if you can find like extra badges or throw in more VC to improve your character. If the combine mode is like this is based on skill because there's only 25 avatars and the games are longer and it's on a higher level. I love the combine. I love the game mode. I love it. It's the most balanced 2K I've seen ever since I have played 2K because they're trying to balance it. So I love that.
Yes. So you would say that anyone who is like a potential fan of the NBA 2K League, if this is the build that they're going to use, once the talent pool is limited or trimmed down to the 102, then you're expecting to see some really high level 2K play. Yes,
with continuity and coaching and the talent pool of the 102, this will be it will be a good looking game of 24 minutes of basketball.
Yeah.
I believe that.
All right.
Because the court has effectively shrunk. People who play Pro-Am, they know you can shoot all the way from out of the hash. So that's literally 26 feet of space that you can use. And everybody can shoot out of the hash, right? Because you're just going to make that guy. But right now, the court has shrunk to a point where it's maybe 22 feet. So you lost 4 feet of court, lower percentage all across the board. Because I know, I looked at the stats, the upper echelon Pro-Am teams shoot about 65% from deep. On a shot profile where their shots are 26 feet, 25, 24 feet and beyond, at 65%. That's real insane. Life. Golden State Warriors, real life, the greatest shooting team of all time. Field goal percentage from free, 38.
Right.
So 65 on Pro-Am, 38 in real life. Combine probably shrunk because of the hash, but I think I can see combine percentage hovering around 48 to 52 from free.
Really? That's that high? Huh? You think it's that high still?
Right now it is that high.
Okay.
I'm shooting 50%. I can see other players shooting 50% too. But I mean, when it gets to 2K League, I think they can have it down to maybe 40 to 45.
Yeah.
Still higher than Golden State, obviously, because you just have more shooters, because you can get your own avatars and all that. But that's a great start. So I can see a 20% drop from Pro-Am 3-point shooting to 2K League 3-point shooting in terms of overall percentages. That's beautiful, because now you have to use the whole court. That changes the game. I think it's going to be a good-looking game with coaching and continuity.
I mean, I would say I'm impressed with what I've seen from a build standpoint.
Yes.
Thus far, and I've watched quite a few games on stream already with the Combine. So I would have to say I concur with what you're saying. Sam, I really appreciate you jumping on with me, man. This was enlightening and entertaining and informative. So hopefully we get an opportunity to talk again later on. And I wish you all the best as you continue your journey towards the NBA 2K League.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I love your work. Your coverage. Your coverage makes it so real. It just makes the league feel real because of the coverage.
I love it, man. Appreciate it. Let's talk a little bit more NBA 2K18, right? Now, I know it might seem like overload, but a lot of people are asking me about my Legends roster. I make it every single year, making it this year, but the process has been much slower than I expected. There's a lot of other things going on, but I do still plan to finish it. I just don't know how long it's going to take me. I apologize to anybody who's been waiting on this. Every once in a while, somebody hits me up on Twitter, on YouTube, and asks me for progress reports on it. So I'm going to let you guys know where I am front and center right now. I don't have to do every player for every team. So it's only usually like no more than 5 or 6 players. And I'm going in alphabetical order in terms of city name. So right about now, I'm right at or right past the Denver Nuggets. So I still got some teams left, but not all of the teams. Some of the teams only have like 1 or 2 guys that I have to make. So I can go through those pretty fast. So I need to commit to probably doing like at least 2 or 3 guys a day. It won't take very long because the creative player tool for 2K is not very good. It's not very in depth. So it's only so much that I can do with each player, which is part of the reason I've become a little bit discouraged doing the project this year. Previous years I was fired up. Also 2K, admittedly, they've told me in complimentary ways that I inspired them to add this to their game. So they've done a lot of the work for me, but then at the same time they've taken some of the tool away from me by having a not so good creative player tool. So hopefully we see a better creative player tool next year. But nonetheless, I committed to doing this Legends roster this year, so I will still finish it. Wanted to make sure I gave you guys an update on it though, nonetheless. That's all we got this week. It was jam-packed, it was long, but I hope it was informative, I hope it was entertaining, and I hope it was enough to get you to check back next week for next week's episode, as well as if you didn't stay for the whole thing and you kind of jumped around, each individual segment you'll be able to watch separately throughout this week. I appreciate you watching as always. Next week, be on the lookout for more 2K League Combine information, possibly some more EA UFC 3, definitely some more MLB The Show content. I appreciate you watching as always. God bless. Peace.